Pisces, and this will be for the month of October 15th, because I believe we're in around there, to the end of November. And again, I'll be covering just the areas of a general read. It won't necessarily resonate with you. Take it or leave what does not relate to you. So how I do my cards, if you are new to my channel, is I do the main cards. Main energy out is currently the Chariot, the Emperor, and we also, I pulled the pre-place just because of time factors. And we also have the Page of Pentacles. Clarifiers below, which I will get to, and then the bottom of the deck card is the Two of Wands. All right, so we're going to just get right into it here. So I have a cat in the way here. Okay, slight disturbance. All right, so what I would say overall, and I should just quickly mention, sorry, cat in the room, he just will not beat it. Anyway, okay, so slight distraction here, sorry. So how I'm reading the cards is, again, I'll do the main energies, and it may or may not resonate for you now. Some of you may be in this energy currently, some of you may be further out. Again, if it's not your story entirely, then it's not your story. So how we're starting out is with the money cards. And so what I see here is this actually a really powerful shift that's come in for you. Many are going through sort of an end cycle here. So everything is pushing up, and by 2026, you're going to see more of a shift into a more positive energy. So for the most part, this is all residual stuff that's kind of finishing up for everyone, including you as well, Pisces. So from the end of like October 15th onward to the end of November, where I see things at is a powerful shift. And what I mean by that is it's one from exhaustion and into emotional fulfillment. So there is more of a material stabilization going on for you. And starting out with the Chariot is obviously a card of victory. So there is something here that I feel is indicating that you have a strong direction of some sort here. You're regaining control, and I feel like that's after a draining, chaotic period, something to that effect. So this is renewed momentum, and this is also you taking control of your life again. This is financially, this is emotionally. You feel driven to succeed again. Sorry, guys. Cat is, he's a bit of a nuisance. Beat it. Okay. He's just a kitten, but he's just a little troublemaker. He'll be ricocheting off the walls here in a second. Anyway, so what I see here is, oh, go lay down. I'll show you guys later. Anyway, what it is I do feel like there's renewed momentum here. So there's something about you taking the reins of your life again. You have this willpower. You're more in tune with your intuition as well. And I don't feel like you've got the same kind of fear that you maybe once had. You're just driven to succeed in this period. So especially with the Six of Wands here, I definitely feel like you're gaining some recognition in that and progressing in this phase. So I feel like there's some kind of visible success for you. You're quietly working towards something, or you have been, and it feels like you're showing some kind of reward because of this, because your confidence is growing, you're being seen, and I feel like you're getting some kind of emotional validation, which is replacing that self-doubt you might have had. So spiritually, I feel like your courage, like I said, is also is coming into play here, because there's just too many cards of, victory over this end energy. Ten of Swords is turning point. This is where, again, early to mid-November, it feels like a final ending or a burnout or an old worry cycle. So that could be job stress, relationship pain, whatever that is for you, it's reached its limit. And you're now cat distraction. You're now at a period where there's kind of closure, and it's not necessarily to say that's not been without a wound. There's a wound here, but after the release of that, everything just starts to flow again for you. Now, what I would say here is the suffering that you endured is more of, where it's sitting at is more of a place of release. And that's why I see the High Priestess here, because this is where you integrate that pain, you integrate things. It's like a quieter phase, it's an inner phase. You trust your inner voice more now than you would outside opinions about things, because you know subconscious the next step, you know what's right for you. And it may also be that financially there may be some unseen growth or plans that are starting to form underneath the surface here as well. But whenever you have uncertainty or triggers or anything like that, this is, you want to prevent the rumination and going over and over and over things. So, of course, this is really just watching the waves go in and out. It's, I don't know if you've ever seen, there's a channel I see. Beat it. Kitty cat. Oh my gosh, I might have to just flash face here. He's very curious about all this. But anyway, it's, sorry guys, one second here. Scat. Oh, he's a little hard to reach right now. Anyway, and hi, the word becomes flash. Sorry, just checking your name out there. But what I see here is with the Nine of Wands, you've had a lot of persevering energy. So this is that space where you're tired, but you're stronger. The worst is behind you. You've got your guard up, but you are making progress. You're just doing things in a careful way. So I just feel like you're in that space of, you reframe some of the fatigue and the things that you're feeling as, it was evidence of your effort, not your failure. So you're tired because you've been healing and rebuilding and all of that. So what I would say here also with the Two of Cups, this could also indicate a coupleship, romantic situation here as well, that may be correlated to your, sorry, I'm just reading the word became flesh. Okay, well, you know what? I mean, they're talking about the cards being demonic. That first off, guys, these are tools. They're divination tools. You cannot, if you can believe in God, then you can believe that you are connecting to spiritual things. If I were up here with flames and all kinds of nastiness and whatever, you can call it demonic or whatever you want. But as far as I'm concerned, if you are that person that's judging everyone, if you are that person that's getting in the way of people's progress, if you are the person that is, becoming an obstacle in the world versus, bettering the world, then I feel you're the demonic one. And you really need to check yourself and take a look in the mirror. I hate to be all whatever about things, but, as far as I see, this is just a divination tool. You can say everything's demonic. Oh my God, the fork bent itself. It's a demonic thing. The fire went a little higher than normal. That's demonic. Like you're getting a little crazy here. Right? So like I said, I mean, they're just cards, they're just tools. As a matter of fact, if you kind of go way back into history, even playing cards, those were all things that they used just for trade, and they used that for the just for the ships and that kind of thing. So it was actually like traded like money. This is artwork as well. Like, it's your context and the way that you choose to see things. So anyway, moving on past that. So like I said, Two of Cups, what I see here is around that energy of emotional connection. There's somebody could be romantic, could be family, could be collaborative, supportive connection of some sort. But I do feel, yeah, that's right. Playing cards do come from tarot cards. 100% Valley Girl, I see you on there. Yeah, it's just a tool. Totally. Okay, Mr. Kitty Cat. All right, I'm going to flash his face because he's just being a pain in the butt. But anyway, Kitty, knock anything down. All right, I can't quite get him into position. So anyway, all I'm saying here is that I feel overall your reading is something along the lines of, you've reached your mark in some way here. So I feel like, whether this is a romantic connection, a collaborative, supportive, whatever connection, it somehow steadies you in some way. And I do feel like this is, prosperity. This prosperity tied to your joy, not your stress. So I feel like you can receive now with a lot more kindness and no guilt, really. And it's not a matter of things being attached to something negative. It feels like this is more along the lines of being grateful for things. So what I would say, again, mid-October, there's something here about... kitty cat. Oh, you little troublemaker. Sorry, he's just a kitten, but gets into everything. But anyway, mid to October is something about taking back control. That's the Chariot. And late October is where I feel like you get this public victory or kind of success in some way. And then I would say early November, there's like a closure. You know, you're releasing the old cycle, the Ten of Swords, the betrayal or the difficulty or something that was very hard for you on an emotional level. And then by, I would say, mid-November is when you kind of intuitively align with things, because that's where we had the High Priestess. Sorry, Kitty is scram. Kitty is right in the way there. But overall, I just feel like late November, like I say, your persistence is really paying off with that Nine of Wands. You're guarded, but it's guarded optimism, something along that line. And I do feel like underlying, you have the love, you've got the support, you've got the abundance, you have the stabilizing factors, you know, because not only that, you've got the Two of Cups, you have the Ten of Cups. This is family. This is, you know, all the things that make you happy, and especially with the Empress here as well. So underlying, I feel like you can really focus on the things that you want because you have a really strong support system. And I feel like you can steer wherever you feel you need to go with that Chariot. Celebrate your small wins, you know, and definitely something here about reopening again now that the Ten of Swords is passed. Sorry, I was just reading Menong's, is there a limit on how many readings someone should do? Well, I will say this, I myself sometimes, you know, because I mean, here's the thing. I think when you are doing readings for yourself, sometimes it's a little difficult because you are already biased, and sometimes it's hard to be impartial. So if I, you know, go to someone and others go to someone, you know, it helps to kind of remove our own bias. But I think that at some point, if you do overdo, you know, psychic after psychic and reading after reading, I think sometimes you take out of, you take yourself out of the picture in some sense. What I mean by that is fluid. It means, as somebody explained this to me, which I thought was really interesting, you know, because the energy, if you're thinking in a, you know, stinking thinking, sorry, I think I'm going to have to remove my kitten. Give me a second and let him out the door, please. Driving me crazy. 1 second. Sorry about the little attention seeker. Anyway, but what I mean is when you go to excess with anything, I think that's when you can put yourself into a position of not trusting yourself. And so I think it's one thing to choose guidance. And if you're, you know, if your negative thinking leads you to go down a path where you are lowering your vibration, so to speak, then shift to the right. And what I mean by that is, you know, turn a corner, start doing things in complete reverse of what you're doing before, and you'll see that your outcome starts to change. So you do have control over your futures more than you think you do. And so that's why I say every move that you make shouldn't be governed by something outside of yourself. It's one thing to go for guidance or reassurance, and it's another thing to completely give over your own level of competency to something. So that's why I say when you know more, you do, or like when you know more, you do better, because the information that you take in will help to guide you. And it's not to say you'll always make the right decisions. That's not the path for anybody. We're all to make, you know, and I don't want to say failures because they're not really failures. What they are is tweaking the process. So it's tweaking the path so that you learn along the way. But certainly, you know, yes, guidance is one thing, but if you do too many readings, I think even for tarot readings, if you're doing a lot of tarot readings in a day, you know, your own energy depletes, and it's hard to maybe get a stronger focus on things. So hopefully that gives you a little insight. And you can read playing cards too, for sure, Valley Girl. I saw your thing on there. I have done that with other readings as well. I just haven't been in the headspace yet. Usually lack of time. Okay, so back into the Empress. Like I said, like Pisces, you really got a lot going on. You're really focused. You're really, you know, surrendering to the things you can't control. You're following your own inner guidance. And I feel like the Ten of Swords is, you're still protecting your peace. But I still feel like you're remaining open here because the Emperor, Two of Cups, the Ten of Cups, all of that. So that abundance is going to grow with self-care and being authentic. And it's where those things meet together, you know, the Empress, the Ten of Cups, all of that. Now, what I want to say about some of the things that you might have been going through at this time, I feel like your natural inclination is to stay in control. And that's what the Emperor is. Aries, Leo, Sagittarius also coming through here. And I feel like the Emperor is you, like I said, it may even come off a little bit of a mask sometimes because you hide your emotion behind it. You have a sense of duty, you have a sense of structure. You may feel like you, if you allow yourself to break down, that you may never regain stability. And so I feel like you have this mask of, you fear chaos. I feel like you have this mask of, I'm calm, I've got this. The fact is, the Queen of Cups is, I feel like you deep down have a deep empathy. There's a nostalgia. I feel like you're missing some kind of nurturing energy. And you might be idealizing some of the memories of, it could be mother figure here as well. Two of Pentacles is something here about trying to balance practical life with the emotional overwhelm. So one minute you might be feeling strong, and then the next minute you sort of feel like you're drifting off. So I feel like some things are unpredictable, and so you're kind of juggling some of your waves of emotion that might be coming through here, especially when I see that followed up with the Seven of Cups. And I feel like that's just you in the daily effort to sort of function. There is some kind of confusion here. There's a level of denial. There's sort of a daydreamy sort of quality, maybe even avoiding reality at some points here. But I feel like your mind needs that escape because you are somebody who naturally tends to cling to levels of control. So I feel like the what ifs or the drifting between, different states of mind help you to release that. I do feel with the Five of Pentacles, there's a certain level of loneliness or emotional abandonment, or that you feel cut off in some way. Something feels a little isolating around you, and maybe you feel like there's a part of you that people don't quite understand here. You're still hiding parts of yourself with Seven of Swords. And again, there's something here. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Sorry, I was just kind of reading something there. But with the Seven of Swords, like I said, there's something here about distracting yourself. And I feel like it's a self-protection. It's not really a deceit of any sort. King of Swords, this one was actually at the bottom of the deck. So I feel like this is, again, the emotional controller. Could be coming as like medical doctor, lawyer, anything like that, professional designation. King of Swords is what that represents. And I feel like this is intellectualizing pain. Right. I think we know why, Johnny Appleseed, so I'm not going to respond. Okay, but yeah, so the King of Swords, like I said, this is something here about trying to make sense out of something that can only really be felt, even though you're using sort of your level of discernment and intellectual, competencies to sort of deal with something. The Four of Swords is, this is where there's sort of a silence. This is rest. This is reflection. This is kind of keeping silent, sleeping, anything like that, wherever you need to sort of heal. There is a healing element to this this period. So for the month of October 15th on to November, it's something to that effect. I feel like it's almost like the heart is catching up to the what the mind already knows. And yes, I am Canadian. And as far as the last cards out here, I do see the Page of Pentacles has to do with, you kind of are in this space of learning to, how do I put that? I think that you have some mindset about, I don't know how to really put this, but I'm just going to say something about, I feel your mindset is very intellectualizing everything. So there is something here about, you will soften over time, but right now I feel like your natural inclination to deal with life and circumstances is to use your rationale to get through things. So that may be, sort of pulling back some of the emotional elements and able to cope through things. Like I said, you fall back on your intellect. So, and again, that's not a bad thing, because I feel like eventually, sometimes when we over intellectualize something, or what will eventually happen is it becomes wisdom, and that softens us. Once it becomes a wisdom, it's a part of you. So in summary, I kind of feel like you are on a path to improving yourself financially. You definitely have your ambition back, but I feel like there's something here. There's a part of you that is wanting to rest and feel and trust, and it's here over the next 3 months here, that I do feel like you'll be going through. So overall, like I said, I still feel like with the Page of Pentacles and all of that, there's still something here about you being responsible. Could be dealing with a child here as well. But you feeling, very responsible. But there's also some element here with some kind of a conflict around a child, possibly here as well. But I still feel like there's a bit of a letdown or a sadness or something here for again, this isn't for all of you, but for someone here, I feel like there is some conflict around a child, a younger person. There's something here feeling left out, or there's some kind of emotional, maybe a depression of some sort here, you or someone else, but there's some kind of a conflict. There's a heartbreak here. I feel like there's pain, guilt, regret, something like that around a decision, or you feel like you might have hurt someone or missed a chance to connect, something like that. And I definitely feel like this is something here where you feel an emotional withdrawal with this younger person. The Hangman tells me that it's kind of a sense of, there's a sense of numb or detachment right now. And again, even though there's really good energy still there, you just may not be feeling it. It just feels like the energy, it feels like a lack of care, but it's more emotional burnout or just disconnection. But it's not a forever situation. Obviously, this is just something in the moment. I feel like it's still in a pause mode, whatever this is, and because of that, you're having to reflect, a little uncertain on how to move forward. But I still feel like you're changing your perspective before you kind of reconnect or re-engage. Water sign, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio, relevant here. Could be your own energy as well. But it certainly shows that there's some kind of love beneath that restraint. So whether you or another person, I still feel like the energy is somebody really truly cares and they feel protective, but they're struggling to express it openly right now. The Fool 2.0 is also the card of starting over, but it's starting over but doing it better. Especially when it's 2.0, it's something you've done before, but it's a fresh chapter. And again, it's allowing you to make amends. You're maybe not quite in this energy yet, but this is where it's headed fairly soon, like I said, in that 3-month period. So it's a lighter presence in family or friendship or something with, again, father figure, child also coming through with that connection. And because we had the Two of Wands that was at the bottom of the deck, that energy in itself as well kind of speaks to thinking about the future plan and wondering how to create the new beginning. But the reconnection has potential. So just so you know, if for any of you that's father figure child or younger person and somebody more mature, older, I would still say that is going to have a new beginning or a new reconnection of some sort where things emotionally balance out. Now there is something here in terms of another connection I see here as well. Page of Swords could be getting some kind of a communication that's a little bit distant. It feels like there's something here that kind of feels cautious, mentally restless, almost like there's an over-analysis of the relationship. There's communication tension, unspoken things of that sort. I do feel like there is, with the Death card, there's something here around that relationship going through some kind of a transition. So it may be something like a do-over. As I said, it means that there's an old way of relating here that's got to change. I feel like there is going to be a rebirth of sorts, but it's only through honesty and acceptance really in that connection. So emotionally, I still feel like there's a detachment. Perhaps you're a little bit afraid to open up to somebody and be vulnerable. But I feel like that will come, even though, there's part of you that's sort of thinking that you failed them, but again, if you reframe it, I've struggled, but, I can still choose to show up differently. So, you might be thinking that somebody doesn't need you, but you can test the evidence, recall times when you did matter, however small, things like that. But either, like I said, I feel like you are in a space of still kind of suppressing some of your own emotions, but I still feel like you don't always know how to express your love, but you do care. And I definitely feel like you can look at some of the small moments of laughing and peace or whatever instead of replaying regrets and the sorrow and all of that. But overall, like I said, I feel like there's a restart in this connection. There's a few connections kind of playing out here in this particular read for whoever this resonates for. But overall, the energy is one of support and putting you back into a very positive space. Like I said, there was a lot of the ending cards were out here. Ten of Cups, everything. The Ten of Swords. So there may have been an end to something that was around a mother figure, family, because that's what I see here also. And certainly with the Ten of Swords, this could have been a hard end. Something that didn't really feel good, or maybe there was some, tension around that as well. But either way, like I said, I feel like you've got a lot of things that are kind of closing up and start to move into more of a positive for you. So that is where I'm going to leave it, guys. I am short on time, so I'm going to leave it there. Keep moving forward. Never give up. It's not how good you are. It is how good you want to be.